Well, what an episode. What can I say that was truly special, with some amazing character appearances that honestly, I didn't expect. That one in particular, you know the one I'm talking about, made me jump out my seat. So The Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 5, Chapter 21 The Pirates by Peter Ramsey, the legendary director, was a fun one. We're gonna dive straight into the breakdown with references, connections, and everything you might have missed. But before we do, if you've not done so my dear friends, please be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below, and also give that bell a good old tickle so you never miss an upload. But no more jibber jabber, let's dive into it. So on Nevarro, High Magistrate Greef Karga is in a meeting with some engineers. All of a sudden, the Pirates King Gorian Shard from Chapter 17 and his crew start a bombardment on Nevarro. After everything this planet has been through, this is the last thing Greef needs. He speaks to Gorian Shard through a holoprojector, and there are a few quaint references to the original trilogy. Greef says that Vane and the other pirates of Gorian shot first. This is a reference to the classic Star Wars fan question. Now of course the answer is Han Solo. Originally was Han, but George Lucas changed it to Greedo in the special editions. Greef tells Gorian that Nevarro is under protection of the New Republic, but of course that's not true, and Gorian calls him on his BS. Nevarro is independent, which we did learn in the first episode of Season 3. Gorian says this isn't a game of Sabacc, which is Lando Calrissian's favourite card game, and we've seen it across the saga. So Greef evacuates Nevarro and calls the New Republic for help, specifically Paul Sun-Hyung Lee's Carson Teva, who we saw in Season 2 and the Book of Boba Fett. Now here's a good time to let you know that in case you missed it, I interviewed Paul prior to Season 3. While I have posted clips over the last month or so, the full interview's up on Patreon, link below. Now when Greef Karga sends the message to Carson Teva, there is a visual reference to when Princess Leia puts the message into R2. Now just like in previous episodes, this one shows the disorganization and incompetence of the New Republic, and as a lot of fans pointed out, the New Republic in canon is very different to that of Legends. They are much more all over the place, which is no wonder why the Imperial Remnant eventually rises and turns into the First Order. If you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend the Aftermath trilogy and also Lost Stars. So Carson Teva and some other officers are drinking on a Caribbean-style island. I'm gonna make the assumption based on what is said later in the episode, and also references in Chapter 10 of Season 2, also Shadow of the Sith, that this outpost is on Adelphi. We see a beautiful shot of a Y-Wing flying towards the base. At the bar, a bunch of Mando producers can be seen. A really quaint throw-in. We see Dave Filoni as Trapper Wolf, Deborah Chow, and Rick Famuyiwa as Jib Dodger from Season 1. Such a nice touch. We also see Imperial helmets of various Stormtrooper varieties on top of the bar. They're being kept by the New Republic as trophies. But the biggest moment is when Zeb Orellios shows up, the Lasat member of the Ghost Crew from Star Wars Rebels. As you guys know, that is my favourite animated Star Wars show. He appeared out of nowhere, and I've got to tell you, of all the characters from the crew to appear in live action first, I never would have guessed it'd be Zeb. It was incredible to see him. I jumped out my chair. So after the events of Star Wars Rebels, it appears as though he's joined the New Republic, and this makes me wonder, where is Agent Kallus? I want to make a separate video about Zeb's importance for this show, so I'm gonna save that for a different time, and also how he connects to the Ahsoka show. And hearing Steve Blum's voice really made my day. Boy, is this a great year to be a Star Wars Rebels fan, especially with what was teased at the end with Bo-Katan. But first things first, the Snivvian bartender, a snaggletooth, tells Carson Teva he's received a message. It's a plea from Greef Karga for the New Republic to get involved, and Teva realizes it's best to relay this to Coruscant and get an intervention officially approved. This is where Teva's arc becomes really interesting, because Colonel Tuttle, played by Tim Meadows, another awesome appearance in this episode, rejects his request. The New Republic is overwhelmed with other requests from worlds they see as priority. And then Elia Kane, the double agent still working for Gideon, walks in. Carson Teva smells that something is off. He doesn't trust her or anyone at the amnesty program. He's right to say that just because they were forced to detract after they were captured, it doesn't mean they saw the light. It doesn't mean they have a new perspective, which is what Elia was claiming. And she implies that Nevarro deserves what it gets for not joining the Republic. But as Teva points out to her, this is an Imperial way of thinking, allowing people to suffer. Now he's going to investigate the trail of clues that the New Republic is is not taking seriously, and it's going to be too late by the time the New Republic decides to act, but let's put a pin in this for now. This comes into play at the end of the episode. So Carson tracks down R5-D4, as Pelimoto told us he was once part of the Alliance. Teva is seeking Mando's help, and when he appears, Paz and the other members of the tribe are not pleased with his presence. To them, an outsider finding them means they have to relocate the entire covert for their safety, but Din comes to his defense so long as he agrees to leave. But Mando is reminded that Greef is his friend. They go way back, and we've seen them have a couple of adventures across the seasons. Before then, of course, Mando was part of the Bounty Hunters Guild, which Greef ran. So that same night, Din tries convincing the other Mandos why they need to help him protect Nevarro. He entices them with Greef's offer from Chapter 17, a tract of land on the independent world, one which Mando thinks could become their new home. Remember, their covert was once on Nevarro, but that was when the planet was Imperial, before it became as lush as it is now. A new covert there today could be very different, a much safer place, especially for the foundlings. Paz Vizsla chimes in stating that because Din and Bo helped rescue his son, he's with them, and they should all be working together. Paz recalls that night in Season 1, where he saw many Mandos die to protect Grogu, and now he calls upon the tribe in the name of a brighter future, and so, they agree. Greef Karga at this time has evacuated the population, which by the way looks way smaller than I would have assumed, in the outskirts of Nevarro, away from the bombing. Bo-Katan, the amazing leader that she is, prepares and strategizes, and so they all head to Nevarro. A fight between Mandos and Gorian Shard's pirates was visually spectacular, and we assume Gorian himself died. Vane got away though, and it was really awesome to see another Ugnaught. At first I thought, could this be Melch from Rebels, but it's not. He didn't have the distinctive tattoo. And at this time, Melch is with Hondo, who would never work for Gorian. He works alone. It was also really satisfying to see the armorer kick pirate ass. So Nevarro celebrates, and Greef gives the tribe their new home, a much larger space on Nevarro for their covert. Paz Vizsla then tells Bo-Katan the armorer would like to speak with her. We revisit the underground original covert from Season 1, the remnants of the Armorer's Forge. The armorer has a realization that the tribe and the Way have no use in such small numbers, and it's very clear she's been reflecting on what Bo-Katan said about the Mythosaur. She now believes her, and as such, she sees that Bo could be the true ruler of Mandalore. She asks her to remove her helmet because the armorer understands that Bo walks both paths. She is crucial in being part of uniting the two kinds of Mandos, those that follow the Way and those that take a more casual approach. Her new mission is to recruit other Mandalorians, which is what the armorer wants Bo to do, but she has to appeal to their sensibilities and not come across as such an extremist. So she removes the helmet, and with the approval of the other Mandos, her mission begins. Her leadership skills are recognized, and the journey to Bo becoming Mandalore begins. This signals a new age for Mandalore, which is what the Mythosaur was always meant to do, and who knows, by the end of the season, the armorer might soften, even removing her own helmet. But in either case, Din will be the first one to do so alongside Bo. But now that Bo has to go get other Mandalorians, two characters come to mind. Favreau, who is rumoured to appear, but also Sabine Wren. Maybe Bo contacts her, and Sabine takes a break from her time with Ahsoka in their search for Ezra to join this mission. The Rebels' connections are incredible so far. And the last scene just set up the return of Moff Gideon. Carson Teva discovers a Lambda-class shuttle, one that's been destroyed. It's a prisoner ship where Moff Gideon broke out of. Now here is the big misdirect. R7 discovers Beskar, and Carson assumes Mandalorians helped Gideon escape, but that's not true. Gideon himself is a Mandalorian. That was part of the leaks by Making Star Wars, and the big reveal is that Gideon has his own armor. He's either a Mandalorian or a Mandalorian wannabe, and one of the big rumors is that he's going to be sporting black and red Mandalorian armor. His true motives are revenge on Bo-Katan and Din for the Darksaber. Mandalorians did help him break out, but it's not the ones Carson Teva assumes. Moff Gideon has Mando super commandos. He's a Gar Saxon type of figure. He's an Imperial Mando. According to the leaks, he's got a lot of people on his side: Praetorian Guards, Imperial super commandos, and apparently some elite Beskar Mandalorians. Some really awesome stuff. Also, Carson Teva is speaking to Lieutenant Reed, Max Lloyd-Jones' character, and he's the one who's the body double of Luke Skywalker. I give this episode a 9 out of 10. I thought it was really fun, and as a Rebels fan, can you really blame me for celebrating Zeb's appearance in live action? So share your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you enjoy the episode? Why so or why not? If you enjoyed this breakdown, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always.